My name is Stephen Birchall. I'm the Deputy CEO of SoNET Systems. SoNET Systems are a Melbourne-based software development company. We got two core products. One of them is called Assessment Master. It's a large-scale assessment testing platform. We service a lot of clients within Australia and also internationally on that product. One of the tests that we're involved in is NAPLAN. That's a big test that's run in Australia in years 3, 5, 7 and 9. And that's tested across all schools. The other product's a case management solution, and it's geared towards the job services industry and also community services. So these are agencies who deal with people who are long-term unemployed, and all of that data we synchronize with the government systems. And so as a result of that, they've mandated that we need to meet certain accreditations in order to be able to make use and hold that data in our systems. One of the challenges that we used to have when we were doing manual deployments is ensuring that everything is consistent. So you can imagine if you have a large pool of servers, and we weren't really dealing with a significant pool, we were only dealing with 5 or 6 servers. Even in that situation, if you make a mistake on one of those servers, it's very hard to troubleshoot the issue. What you'll see from an application perspective is these random intermittent issues. Sometimes it could take up to 3 or 4 days to get to the bottom of the problem. And so even if it's happening maybe once or twice a year, you don't want to be spending 3 or 4 days when you've got other critical things to focus on or other just important features and deliverables that you're trying to put into the product. We wanted to have more automation, more control there, and we needed it to be very secure. So they were our sort of key points that we needed to look at. We had to meet the IRAP from the Australian Signals Directorate, that certification. We chose ourselves to also be ISO 27001 and 9001 accredited. We did that as a stepping stone to meeting the IRAP audit, but we also saw that as just an important qualification to have in general, given the nature of the data that we're dealing with and the type of projects that we're involved in. We were very interested in making sure that when we move away from our existing infrastructure, that we start from the ground up with a security focus, because that's not something we did the first time around, because we didn't have these needs when we started out 10 years ago. Initially it was quite challenging because in AWS, when it's more of a service-oriented design and there's a whole wide range of things there for us to make use of, we're sort of not sure exactly where to start initially. What do? Do we just replicate what we've already got, put it into AWS, or we try and come up with something a bit more clever? With AWS, you're relying on their services that they have available to you, and a lot of those at the moment haven't been IRAP accredited, so it is quite limited in what you can actually make use of. Amazon can be easy, I think, if you're doing something basic. So if you just wanted to deploy a Drupal website and you weren't concerned about security or any high levels of performance, then that's not a problem. You can jump in, you can spin up a few servers or use some of their existing services. But when you're trying to deliver a critical business application and you are concerned about security and performance, then AWS at the moment doesn't really have the tools to be able to build that out in that complete sense. We identified a couple of challenges pretty early on when we started looking at AWS. We had a lot of projects going on at the time, so time constraints was definitely one of them, and the amount of time we were able to invest ourselves into that was going to be very limited. And we're kind of taking the approach where we would be just doing a little bit here and there. But we saw that if we want to get serious about this and we want to make this move, we're going to need to invest some decent time or bring in someone who already has some knowledge in that area. We wanted to really focus on security from the start of it. I didn't want to put that as a secondary thing. So we needed someone who understood the security aspects, which we didn't have in-house. We wanted to transition from Windows to Linux just as a cost efficiency exercise, and being all on Windows and not having anyone here with any significant experience under Linux would have made that quite challenging. When we sat down and had a look at all those factors, we thought, well, we're probably better off getting someone who knows this stuff. So we'd already had some experience in working with Salted Signal. So first we just reached out to the people that we knew that we could trust, and he gave us a demonstration of the cohesion method, and we really liked what we saw, and we thought this has good potential. This sort of ticks the boxes for what we're after. It's got the security there. We know he's IRAP auditor, so it's really who better to get us to design this environment than someone who already understands that part. We want to quickly deploy a prototype of one of our existing applications just to make sure that there wasn't going to be any major challenges there, because our applications are quite complex and we have a lot of integration points, and it's they've been in development for 10 years now, so they do have a lot of code that's built up over the years. So we want to make sure that this was going to work, and we were very quickly able to see that the concept works, all the automation is there, and the key things that we're looking at were in place. So then we made the decision to proceed, because we were switching from Windows to Linux. At the same time, we were switching from SVN to Git, and we're also going from an environment where everything was done manually to now where it's managed through code. And so there were a lot of new concepts for us. There was a lot of not just our software that we had to migrate across and make sure it would run under Linux, but just for us to understand the environment and for us to start feeling comfortable working under a Linux environment coming from Windows. So yeah, that took a lot of time and effort internally, just to get people familiar and comfortable with that before we could transition across. Salted Signal were very good with that. They basically handheld us through that process, and they were able to not just give us advice from the infrastructure cohesion method point of view, but also to help us with those auxiliary applications that we weren't that familiar with, and that we were able to continue working, because we still had all our production clients to service, obviously, and we had a lot of projects in the works at the time, so we needed to try and minimize the amount of pain that it would cause our staff to transition over. So the good thing is there's been very minimal impact. It's pretty much transparent to most of the developers. We know it's there, we understand what security things are in place, and obviously that we focus on that from our process perspective, but in terms of what the environment's providing us, that just happens in the background, which is nice. The good thing about the whole environment is that it doesn't have to be set up in a particular cloud provider. So we also, with our international projects, dealing with countries like Israel and Poland and Croatia, and everyone's very sensitive about their data. So when you're dealing with another country, sometimes that they'll want you to install and set up the software in their premises. And in that case, we're still able to leverage something like the cohesion method, so that we can keep all our environments consistent. So we couldn't really see another product that was a full package. So something that provides a whole environment that's been designed with the security in mind, that you can drop your applications into. I think that's where the difference is. You can get specialized products that do bits and pieces, but nothing that covers everything as a whole. In today's world, you need to be security conscious. So I would say even if people aren't thinking about that, they should be thinking about that. And then they would want to look at a solution like this.